Welcome back to The Explainer. Let's just dive right in, because today, we are looking at a highly practical, super condensed cheat sheet designed to help you completely decode Unit 1. Seriously, if you've ever felt totally overwhelmed by the sheer volume of material you need to review, this is exactly what you need. We're taking a simple list of topics and transforming it into a highly tactical study plan.
So, I gotta ask, are you ready to hack Unit 1? As your guide through all this material, I need you to shift your mindset right now. Stop being a passive student and start thinking like a tactical exam coach. We aren't just going to sit here and look at a list of what to study today. That's the old way of doing things. Instead, we're going to break down exactly how you need to beat this test by understanding the actual mechanics of the exam itself. And honestly, this perfectly illustrates our core strategy. The source material doesn't just list high-probability topics in a vacuum. It actually maps them directly to the specific question types you're going to face. We are literally uncovering the exact cognitive load required for the exam. This means no more guessing how deeply to study a topic, right? The test's entire blueprint is right here in front of us.
Level 1. Direct recall questions. Let's get into it.
All right, let's start building that foundation. According to our exam hack data, your absolute primary targets for baseline studying are the features of Swayam and Swayamprabha, right alongside the basics of the CBCS credit system. These are your foundational topics. Now, what's really interesting here is that these aren't areas where you need to spend hours agonizing over complex theories. No way. These are your bread and butter. You just need to know the facts cold.
But here is the critical thinking part for us. How exactly are these two topics going to show up on the exam? Try putting yourself in the test maker's shoes for a second. If you're testing basic features and credit systems, what's the single most efficient way to extract that knowledge from a student?
Well, the source reveals they are tested as direct MCQs, or multiple choice questions. So, the crucial takeaway here is this: do not overthink these specific areas. When you're studying Swayam features or CBCS basics, your one and only goal is pure, unadulterated memorization of the core facts. Honestly, flashcards are going to be your best friend here. You just need to be able to spot the right answer in a lineup. That's it.
Moving on to Level 2, making the connections.
Okay, so once you have those direct facts locked down, we're stepping up the difficulty ladder. This tier is all about relational question types. We're drawing clear, undeniable distinctions is your main objective. Our source material points out a really crucial duality you absolutely must master: the contrast between teacher-centered and learner-centered approaches. Emphasizing this side-by-side comparison, that is going to be your tactical edge. You can't just study the teacher-centered approach on a Monday and then look at the learner-centered approach on a Thursday. No, they have to be studied together so you can clearly see where one ends and the other begins.
Why? Because the source explicitly warns us that this will be tested as a comparison statement question. The exam is absolutely going to trick you by blurring the lines between the two. You have to know exactly how one differs from the other. When you study this, seriously, physically draw a line down a piece of paper and write out the contrasting points side by side. It makes a huge difference.
Now, building on that relational concept, we have our next high-probability topic, which is the levels of teaching. Just like the previous topic, this isn't about isolated facts at all. It's about how different pieces of a whole actually relate to one another. And true to form, the source confirmed this is going to be a match the following question type. This just brilliantly illustrates that you need to logically map concepts to their specific components, rather than just relying on isolated recall. If you just memorize a list of teaching levels without understanding what goes with what, you're gonna struggle here. Your study sessions should literally involve drawing lines between concepts and their definitions. Make it visual.
All right, Level 3, complex application and reasoning.
Now we escalate to the final, most demanding tier of our exam hack. This is the absolute highest cognitive load required by the exam, where deep analysis is 100% mandatory if you want to succeed. First up in this top tier, we have a trio of concepts: formative, summative, and diagnostic assessments. Now, based on what we've talked about so far, you might be tempted to just memorize the definitions of these three words. But trust me, basic definitions simply won't cut it here. The source explicitly warns us that you're going to face assertion reasoning questions for these concepts, and that is a massive leap in difficulty. It means the exam will present you with a statement and then a reason and ask you to evaluate if both are true and if the reason correctly explains the assertion. You have to understand the underlying logic and the absolute why behind each method. Like, why would a teacher use a diagnostic tool right now instead of a formative one? That's the level you have to know.
Which brings us to a major hurdle for a lot of students. How do we strategically tackle Piaget, Erikson, and Knowles? Take a second to think about your current study plan for these theorists. Are you just memorizing their stages in order?
Because if you were just memorizing the stages, you need to pivot your strategy right now. The source delivers the crucial point that these developmental stages are tested as application-based questions. That means your test prep has to focus heavily on applying these theoretical stages to real-world hypothetical scenarios. The exam is going to describe a student's behavior and ask you which of Erikson's or Piaget's stages they are currently navigating. So don't just list them out, practice applying them to actual case studies.
And finally, the takeaway. Your ultimate strategic edge.
Let's bring all of this together. We've moved from basic recall all the way up to complex application. And here is the complete master cheat sheet to confidently tackle Unit 1, drawn straight from our source. Notice how every single high-probability topic, from the levels of teaching to the stages of Piaget and Erikson, has a designated question type. By aligning your study methods, whether that's flashcards for Schwayam MCQs, side-by-side lists for teacher versus learner-centered comparison statements, or scenario practice for application-based questions, you are literally optimizing your brain's cognitive load for exactly what the exam demands. It's like a giant puzzle, and you finally have all the edge pieces.
So, I want to leave you with this final, vital question to ponder as you open your books today. Are you just studying the content, or are you finally studying the test? By using this explainer's breakdown, you now know the format rules. You know the exact terrain of the battlefield. It is time to revolutionize your study habits, stop wasting time on the wrong techniques, and go conquer Unit 1. You've got this.